So even as someone who internets, and I'm going to use the word internet as a verb here because that's what it's become frequently, it's always really hard for me to even answer the question of why young people we use the internet the way we do. We can use it to connect with other people around the world, to disconnect with our daily lives, we can learn, we can stream, we can steal, we can collaborate. So it's really hard with the dual nature of internet use to decide whether or not it is going to change our lives for the better or the worst. The comedic question of how we ever survived without the internet before now has been replaced with how are we going to survive when the internet has become so intertwined with our daily lives. To those of you outside the youth category of identification, it can be even harder to understand young people's relationships with the internet. And as tech savvy as you might be, your relationship is always going to be different than young people of today and generations to follow. You assimilated the internet into your life, and as good as you might think you are with Twitter, we have never known anything other than expressing ourselves in 140 characters. So that presents problems to young people today, and this is why young people can be the part of the solution to help solve those problems. Because the main assault against online safety issues of abuse and cyberbullying is driven by adults, it can happen that young people kind of feel, I even feel sometimes, excluded from the online conversations about how best to use the internet and protect ourselves. We can become apathetic and don't really identify with approaches taken by social media companies for our own good. So people in in control of security at social media companies do and continue to do such great work to protect young people, and we thank them for that. But what happens when your remit can only go so far as a security development team at a social media company? There's really only so much even a proactive parent or these teams of people can do. This is when young people come into the conversation, and we use the internet as a primary tool of communication, and apps and internet developments have meant that the volume of communication has just skyrocketed in the last few years. As Patricia outlined, there's 1 billion tweets every 2 days. So young people have an almost trigger-like reflex when it comes to sharing, and I will even put my hands up and say we post before we think. So this, to get to the hub, like Matthew described, there really has been a gap, I guess, in the market, if you want to call, for empowering young people to actually take control and embrace their own online identity in a safe way. So it has been extended outwards, but the hub is going to bring that conversation even further. And there's a lot of work to still be done in inspiring young people to take control. So SpunOut's approach, I'm talking about being an action panel member. I'm privileged to be here today. I've been invited by SpunOut to speak here, and as part of the action panel I will represent the voices of young people and make sure that SpunOut's work is always youth-led and youth-driven. The opinions of the action panel are always held in a priority, and it's an approach that I wish more organisations that engage with young people would take. So SpunOut's approach to providing information has kind of taken a leap forward in the online safety hub. There was a need that was identified, and it has really been tackled. Everything from the online safety hub, from its interface to its content, is all youth driven. The interface itself, it provides easy access. It's beautiful. Have you seen it? It's pretty beautiful, and it's something that I really feel that young people will engage with. All of the content that is on the online safety hub has been youth-proofed by SpunOuters, contributors, and the action panel. So it's developed a language that young people can identify with around internet safety that they mightn't normally identify with if they're scrolling through pages of terms and conditions, user service agreements, all that sort of stuff. So we are I'm guilty of it too, clicking, yes, I've read the terms and conditions because I want the latest app on my phone and my trigger reflex is just aching to share my life online. So what SpunOut has really done has brought all of the information in one beautiful spot on the internet where young people can go there, get what they need to know, and most importantly in a language that they can understand, because it has broken through all of the jargon that is associated with safety online, and because of the core belief that SpunOut has shown in young people. Like, they've essentially handed over the responsibility to young people of controlling their own internet use with the online hub. They've made a resource, and now it's up to young people. And the reason why SpunOut is confident that young people will use this tool is because they have always been confident and have always placed such a high value on the experiences of young people. Young people don't want to be bullied online, young people don't want to be harassed online, but sometimes we really don't know any better. As tech savvy as we are, as Matthew pointed out, there's a lot of things that we are actually quite ignorant about when it comes to using the internet because we have never known any other way. So SpunOut's Online Safety Hub, with the content, is really going to not only provide information, but hopefully start to encourage conversations amongst peers, to start discussing and maybe reflecting a little bit more before you hit send on your 140 character tweet. So thank you very much for having me here today, and thank you to SpunOut for developing such a brilliant resource for young people, and for having faith in young people that it is a resource that they will use, and that they will use to empower themselves and other young people to have a positive interaction with the internet and a positive relationship with the internet. Thank you.